Tell us a little bit about your perspective on compliance. What brings complexity? Why should we worry about compliance?
So, where my points about compliance, basically, we need to understand where the law is originating from. If we can see from that angle, probably will understand better. So, law is made by the legislative body in countries like India. You see that. So, they have their own perspective of what should be the case. And could they could have consulted the industry, they could not have consulted the industry. There are a few cases where they have not consulted the industry, and that's where the regulation and implementation becomes a real challenge for the industry. So moving on to then when the law is drafted and the industry has not been consulted, or if they have invited the invited the consultations, but the industry has not participated appropriately into it, the law doesn't come up in a proper shape. That's one challenge you will see in at times. It used to happen particularly in the past. Thanks to electronic media, this thing has eliminated to a greater extent. Having said that, still there are certain challenges. The industry either doesn't participate, or we are not invited enough to contribute our views while the laws are being made. So it's both ways. It's not about the legislation or the industry. It's a mix of both. So, if I tell you a few examples where the people like me who were into operational compliance side were facing challenges. I'll just give a small example. So I worked with a public institution, which is a government company. So what happened is, as per law, government company director, when a director is appointed on the board of the government company, he doesn't need to give any consent for being appointed as director. Earlier, from 29, probably some guys might be knowing here, particularly company secretaries and chartered accountants. What happened is, when this MCA 21 is implemented, there was a compulsory attachment of Form 29. And if I don't file, so if I go to my director who is at IS rank and say this needs to be signed, maybe 8 of 10 will then sign, and probably 2 of them will not sign. So this is not a requirement, because IS guys, they know the laws in and out, and they have a specific mindset whether to do that or not do that. And if it needs to be done, why it needs to be done, they need to be convinced. So I'm giving you a very small example, but that makes our life really challenging, and that's a compulsory field. And there was no concept of straight-through process at that moment. Probably, I'm not sure if I'm getting into detail, but MCA system, there's a process called straight-through process. At that point, it was not straight-through process. Form 32 I'm referring to, we need to compulsory attach at consent of the director. So you need to devise some way out. So if you see regulation-wise, even the regulatory is prohibiting me to make the compliance itself. So that is making I'm giving you a very small example. There are more examples which I will give you. Okay. So another example, if I give you which is I'm facing in the current industry, we are currently operating from SEZ. And the very objective of SEZ is to earn more to promote business first things first, and earn more net foreign exchange. We work on the net foreign exchange should be more. So having said that, we should be promoting the export side. That's one thing. But in case we are getting some business in from domestically, either we should not consider doing it. No, we should be considering doing it, right? Anyone will agree to that. Okay, even the business doing in India, we are providing employment. Now there's a funny regulation coming up, which says that in case you are billing it to if you are operating from SEZ, and if you are billing it to the local DTA, that's domestic tariff area, then you need to take the receivables in foreign exchange. That itself is creating a hurdle for me. It's not allowing me to do the business. It's not allowing me to give the employment to so many persons probably I could have given to. So there are things which actually are a hindrance on the government side. But it's not because the intention was wrong. Probably the implementation and the writing of the law is not as good as it should have been. So I'm sure. And then becomes at times it becomes a bureaucratic challenge. So my understanding of the law could be different from the person of the officer who is handling that, who has to handle, say for example, a Ministry of Corporate Affairs, officer sitting in Ministry of Corporate Affairs, or a SEZ officer. So my understanding could be different. His understanding could be different. As I was referring to your earlier uh, seminars, and I was listening, there are 10 to 10 formats for the in the same state for the same labor law. There are 5 to 10 formats. Which format to use? And there are timelines also. And if I bust their timelines, if I miss the timelines, their penalties are there. So that's where the challenge really begins for people or people like us, basically, because business will not stop. Let's be very honest that our salaries are generated by the operations guys, by the sales guys. Even the business, the country runs because somebody is doing business. So we need to be the facilitator of the business. The entire ecosystem be revolving around how to facilitate more business. We are very fortunate that almost since 1991 we had good governments focusing on how to ease the business, and this process is continuing no matter which government we are referring to, but that's a process which is being followed. So less and less corruption we are seeing because of the digitization, because of the electric medium being adopted. So if you see that passport thing, if you see the MCA thing, there are lots and lots systems are being made, so leading to less and less corruption is the thing happening. But on the ground, there are so many things needs to be done currently, uh, and that's exactly so. One what I was referring to here, that when the business guy comes to me, that I cannot do certain things because of the business requirements, and these may be in conflict with the regulations, and if these regulations are not giving you any good results, then these regulations need to be considered to be annulled by the government. That's what we require. Having said that, we need to take at times we need to take certain balancing act. We need to really make some balancing act, how to implement the law while securing our business in a peaceful way. So that's what my take is about compliance. Yes, it's a very important function because, as you said, but I'm not looking at from the whole or just from the perspective of the compliance. I'm looking from a more holistic level, that how to promote business while be compliant. So probably okay. So I was one more thing I was here referring to. I was just noticing when I was listening. You were referring to overlapping of the laws. That's probably one. This is one aspect. Another aspect which we don't know even. Correct me, Rishi. You are a subject matter expert here. There are probably there is no repository as of now in India which can tell how many number of regulations are there in entire, including municipal laws, state laws, and central laws. Correct me if I'm wrong. So even these are not properly documented. Suddenly, I can be fined or jailed for something which I don't. Even the government doesn't know there's some law behind it.